Today we're going to install the dynamic sequential turn signals with daytime running lights from PathfinderLED.
Had these on my 2018, absolutely love them. They have a nice white glow in the front, and they have sequential amber turn signals, PathfinderLED. And I'm going to show you how to install these. Now, at the same time I'm installing these, I'm also going to be installing these Muth signal mirrors, which I've also had on my other Honda Goldwings, and I really love them. But first, I'm going to have to disassemble this mirror assembly, which I'm not going to go into all the details in this video of how to do this. I do cover this in great detail on my Honda Goldwing maintenance video series. So if you don't have those videos yet, check them out. I'll put a link in the description of the video. But this mirror housing has to be disassembled so that we can install these lights, because these are going to replace the turn signals, the factory turn signals lenses on the very front of the mirror, and the only way to get to them is to go inside the housing.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
And the way we remove this mirror is we're going to press up from the bottom like this, and we're just going to kind of press it up firmly, and it will unsnap. Take some, there we go. Now what we have to do is we have to, there's a little bar underneath here that this was clipped into, and that has to be forced back down. It takes a little bit to do that. Let me get something here with some leverage.
We're basically trying to get the mounting base back down, rotated down in the bottom position so we can release the hooks from the mirror. There are two hooks on the top of the mirror that hold it into the mounting base.
So now on the back of the mirror you can see sort of how this works. There's a little clip here that holds it on this bar down here, and it has little hooks up on top that hold it under these bars right here.
This mounting base is what allows you to adjust the mirror's position.
Okay, we're going to begin by taking out these two screws right here. I want to also remind you that I always magnetize the tips of my screwdrivers so that my screws don't fall off. I'm going to set these aside in a bowl, kind of in a safe place, so I don't lose them. I also don't want to set the screws on my work surface. You'll notice I have a towel to protect the paint of these mirrors. I don't want to set these screws on this towel, because you always run the risk of, when you're moving the mirror around, you'll scratch the surface on one of those screws. So I like to keep the screws in a completely separate place. You also want to pay attention to the size of these. These are self-tapping screws, and they will be different as we work our way through the body of this mirror. Okay, the first thing we're trying to remove is this little black piece of trim here, this little bezel that fits around everything. And it's held in place with those two screws we just removed. And there is one of those little push pin rivets on the end. So we'll want to pop that out. I'm just going to use my screwdriver. And then I can get my fingernail under there. It's kind of hard to get to this one because it's kind of recessed. I may actually have to use a pick on this one to get it out. There we go. We should be able to get this plastic bezel to come away. And there are a few little clips that also hold it into place. And now it is off, and we'll set it to the side for now. Okay, the next thing we have to do is we have to remove this frame. This is the frame of the mirror that has the rotation arm and where it mounts to the motorcycle. And we're going to remove this frame from the outer shell, the painted shell of the mirror. And to do that, we've got two screws, one here and one up here, and we're going to remove those next. Now these are larger self-tapping screws than what we had before. You'll notice the threads are much, much larger than the previous screws we removed. Okay, now the frame is loose from the painted shell, but to remove it completely, we also are going to have to, you can see they came apart, but there is a wire here, the wire harness. This is what goes to the rear view mirror wire under the top shelter or under the front garnish, and we need to remove this. And the way we do that is you can probably use your fingers. It has one of these little clips here, this brown clip. You can probably just mash these two little wings together and then pull it through that hole. Let's see if I can get that to work. If not, you can always use needle nose pliers. There we go. Okay, so now the frame is completely free, as you can see. And we have our shell. I'm going to set this frame off to the side. The next thing we'll need to do is we have to actually remove the front lens, turn signal lens, from this housing. And that again is going to require the removal of a screw. So we're going to remove this screw here, and then this will come out. Now this happens to be the same size as the last two we removed. So when you go to reassemble, just remember the first three screws that go back in are the larger of the 5 screws. And now this lens assembly will come out, as you can see. And here we can simply pull this through that little slot on the end, our connector. I should also mention that the kit does come with full instructions. So it will tell you basically everything I'm telling you. And there is our new turn signal lens. You can see it's almost an identical replica of the factory lens. Really a beautiful design. Now, of course, these are different, left side, right side, but they'll really only go in one way. So you'll know immediately if you try to put the wrong one in the wrong side, you're going to know it pretty quick. And of course, it does have the OEM style connector. So this is plug and play. This plugs right into your Honda Goldwing wiring harness just as if it were a factory item. Here is our painted housing. This is also a good time, a good opportunity. Sometimes there's stuff, bugs and things that get in between this lens and the paintwork. This is a good time to clean that because it's very hard to get to without this, with it on the bike all assembled. So let's go ahead and do a little cleanup while we're here. I don't really need any heavy duty cleaner. I just want to get that surface clean before we install this new lamp assembly. Okay, we've given it a quick polish, just a run through with some polish and cleaner. Okay, so this lens just sits right in there like that. This is what it's going to look like. Very cool looking. Okay, so remember we only took out one screw on this lens, and it's this one down here where the boss is coming completely through. These will be done later when we reinstall the frame. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route my wire through this opening here, this little slot on the end. That wire has to come out like that. And now we're ready to reinstall our frame. And you see how that fits in there. This is where the other two larger of the screws goes in, and that holds the frame in place. Now I do want to caution you, on all of these screws, these are self-tapping screws, and you're screwing into a plastic, what we call a boss, or a plastic base. So you don't want to over tighten these. You don't want to run the risk of stripping out those plastic threads. So all you need to do, as soon as you feel that screw bottom out, just give it a slight twist, just enough to get it snug, but you don't want to crank on it very hard. Otherwise you could run the risk of stripping out that plastic underneath, and you don't want to do that. Okay, now we can reinstall our little trim piece here. Now it's important to remember this little tab here goes underneath the painted surface here. And then our little push pin goes through there to help hold it in place. So we want to make sure that that is underneath like that. And then we'll just kind of snap this down into place like that. And now we have our last two screws that will hold this in. You may have to move it around a little bit to get everything to go back to where it's supposed to go. I'm going to put my rivet back in place, my little push pin body clip, like that. Snap it in, it's locked in. And these are the two smaller screws.
If you're enjoying this video, I'd like to ask you to do me a favor. Please click that subscribe button down below, and don't forget the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when we come out with more helpful videos.
And now we simply reinstall our mirror, which these little hooks slip underneath this bar right here. They slip underneath, and then we press this bottom clips over this bar down at the bottom, and that snaps in and will hold it in place. And that is your installed PathfinderLED dynamic sequential turn signal with daytime running lights.
You can order these lights from SoCal Moto Gear. I'll put a link in the description of the video. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. That really does help my YouTube rankings.